So, I fucked up. I dipped my toe into a pool thinking it was water, but it was actually kind of shit creek. I made a video with the minimum amount of research done and made myself look like a fool in the process. Not a hard thing to do, but I digress. However, while being mocked for the fool I am, my eyes were open to a few curious things. I know I royally screwed up the last video, so I did my best to make sure that I won't fuck this one up. I actually sat down and did a bit of research on not just the Eula, but a bit of the community as well. So I present to you all the Gearbox Goons and the Eula backlash. So let's tackle what I dubbed to be the Gearbox Goons, and yes, I did make that up on my own. I did name the Borderlands boys after all. This wasn't much harder. I'm a naming god, some would say. I digress. So we are using a more classical version of the word goon. People who I dubbed to be the Gearbox Goons are those who seem to boil over at the mention of Gearbox hate and simply go harass whoever made said hate. For example, when I saw this comment, I legitimately thought, oh shit, am I actually that bad at the fucking game? Because I don't really pay attention to my background footage. However, when I went to go and check the footage, I hit max stacks within the first 18 seconds. There were some people that made definitely good points, and others that made a fair criticism before getting absolutely lost in the sauce. Solid Snake here absolutely got lost in the sauce. He made one true point, which is why I, realized I fucked up. Before he started yapping, I'm not a big tech guy, granted, so take this next bit with a grain of salt. In fact, just keep in mind, I'm a fucking idiot, alright? Keep that in mind for this next bit. But Gearbox sells their games through third-party platforms. Steam, Epic, PlayStation, Xbox, the works. Platforms that give us our hotfixes, so we aren't receiving them directly from the web, as they say. For argument's sake though, let's say I'm wrong. Let's say that I'm a stupid little shithead that doesn't know what he's talking about. Let's see exactly what Gearbox needs for these hotfixes. So I look over the list and check things out. I mean, even age checks out. You don't want kids playing these games, God. You know the kind of shit they'd see? Some wild stuff, I tell you what. But, Mr. Solid Snake, please do tell me how it is crucial for Gearbox to know what's in my pants. Do tell me how my gender is crucial for me playing the game or getting my updates. But I digress. That was a bit of aggressive banter, and I apologize for that. Then Mr. Snake compares it to Steam, saying that Steam has a really terrible Eula in comparison to this new one we have. However, my retort is that if Gearbox had half the trust Steam has from its customers, then I doubt we would even be here. Dude, I trust Steam to get my mom home by an 8, alright? Hells, we wouldn't be here if Gearbox / Take-Two just kept their old Eula.
We had a good thing, you stupid son of a bitch. It was perfect, but no, you just had to blow it up. You and your pride and your ego.
But here we are. And if you don't accept it, then you can't play your game that you could have had for over a decade now. That's a little fucking wild, but we'll tap on that later. However, the craziest goon of all is this fella by the name of Beardman. And at first, I generally brushed off his comment. It was a nothing comment. Just hate for the sake of hate. It wasn't constructive criticism, it was nothing. So I didn't engage. Then, after about a day's time, he came back. I don't know if he just didn't click off the video, got mad that I didn't give him any engagement, or maybe I forgot to pay his mom for last night. But he slapped down another comment that was only half as nasty, I suppose. So there's positives. And you know what? I'll give him an inch. I took a rather large sample of Hellfire's videos, and the ones marked with red dots are where he heavily criticized Gearbox for the main point of his video. However, he went on to say that he implores me to be a normal person who enjoys games. And both me and my friends Mads were confused by that line. Because if you take the same sample size with my videos, then only 2, 3 if you count this video, are critical of companies. If you took a second to even look at my catalog, as lackluster as it is, you would know that in most cases, I just do whatever the fuck I want. If it's really popular, there's no guarantee that I'll even stick with it. However, I did do some research into Beardman himself, and I was honestly surprised. Not that he was a popular creator dogging on me, but the fact that he was dogging on me in the first place. I watched his videos and he carries himself rather well. Hell, he comes off a lot better than me. He makes his videos a lot better than me. He didn't even seem to have an in-your-face kind of personality that Hellfire does, which made it all the stranger that he seemed to be deliberately dogging on me until I gave him that reaction. So while trying to figure out what his deal was, I was messaged by the devil himself, Hellfire. Now to preface this, I had no relation to Hellfire prior to these messages, and while doing some research on this video, I found that he has drawn the ire of a good chunk of the Borderlands community. So to keep a neutral stance, and to attempt to show you all reason, I will only use information from him that I can absolutely prove. With that said, the gentleman Hellfire gave me some saucy deets that Beardman was flown out to 2K, with proof from this tweet right here. Maybe they're the real fans Randy was yapping on about. And upon a bit more digging, Mr. Solid Snake from earlier has some association with that Beardman fella. He's supposedly a parody of what? I got a little too lazy to keep digging, I'm a lazy bastard. So even though he doesn't seem like the kind of person to dog on other people, maybe it's something that Gearbox, Take-Two, or 2K wishes for him, and to stay in their good graces, he has to comply. That's a theory though. But going off of it, it's certainly a tough spot to be in, and I don't hold it against the guy if that's the case. At the end of the day, it's Gearbox, Take-Two at the center of the problem. I've dogged on a few companies in the past and for various important things. Valve seemingly going silent during the bot crisis was a rough time for TF2 players. Overwatch 2 getting its PvE cancelled because the CEOs didn't see it making profit, despite that being the majority of the justification for the 2 and the title? That's wild. My reason for being here is fairly simple. We can gripe about privacy and how Gearbox/Take-Two is essentially taking our data for its own gain, or not. I'm not smart enough to touch that with a 10-foot pole again. But the real stinker of this whole situation is this. If you don't accept the Eula, then you'll be locked out of a game that you may have owned for multiple years. You gotta keep in mind as well, this isn't just the Borderlands games suffering from this. The fellows overplaying Risk of Rain are getting slapped with the same stuff as well. And I'm extremely doubtful that Gearbox is going to offer refunds for any of the players not accepting the Eula. The most I've read saying that they would is for unused product, which, I mean, if you played the game, then it's used. It's the reason why Gearbox hasn't earned my trust in the slightest, especially since, and do put on your tinfoil hats for this one, I've got a crazy theory that every time they've majorly fucked up recently, they've released Borderlands 4 nonsense to cover it up. Movie majorly flopped? Here's a teaser for the new game coming out. New Eula outrage at its peak amongst fans? Here's some gameplay footage of the new game. Like I said, some tinfoil hat nonsense, so take it as you will. It's something that I personally believe in a bit, but coincidences exist, I suppose. Alright, everything's over. That's the video's main talking points done. I wanted to rant about how Gearbox, unlike other companies, has not done anything to earn my trust, but has done enough to ruin it. And I love the Borderlands games, dude. BO4 looks absolutely fucking amazing. This guy has a fucking axe. But I just don't want to support that company anymore. I can't look the other way from that Eula nonsense. It's not just the Borderlands series I uninstalled, but Risk of Rain as well. And I know that the only reason for all this blowing up is because of Hellfire's video. But it's important to know that Hellfire isn't the one that caused all of this. He didn't tip the first domino. First it was Take-Two, then Gearbox, then Hellfire just did what Hellfire does best. He turned up the heat and started flaming Gearbox. Whether he was cooking or burning, I leave it up to you, the audience, to decide. You know, Hellfire can defend himself on his own points, and he can do so a lot better than I can. The only things I'm slapping here are my own thoughts on things and stuff I can prove. Anything else is tinfoil hat rant nonsense that shouldn't be thought on too heavily. At the end of the day, I don't hold any grudges or malices against any parties here. Both Beard and Hellfire seem like good guys at the end of the day. It's just that today we find ourselves scattered over a messy situation. Unless Gearbox gets their stuff together, this will be the last time I touch Borderlands at all. and most of y'all will get like a tweet from me clarifying stuff, or maybe I'll make a really shitty YouTuber apologies in like a Google Doc. God, that would be amazing. Point being, I want to get back to making videos I want, like Helldivers, Baldur's Gate. I even got something in VR cooking up because, you know, I wanted to play a game in VR. That stuff I enjoy. So, to all of you out there, to those who have anger, to those who I've clarified to, and to those who are not sure why they're here, this is the Mason's Forge, signing off.